Hey everybody, how's it going? It's Jeff, and I'm here in my new music room at long last. If you saw my last video, I mentioned that I was leaving my old place and moving house, which I've done. Moved about 5 weeks ago as I record this. And over the past, for the first 3 weeks or so, I was getting the space set up as time allowed, and then I finally got to a point where about 2 weeks ago it was pretty much set up. And still making minor tweaks here and there, but it's pretty much ready to show, so I thought I would go ahead and do this video. As I mentioned in the last one, the big dread and concern was moving the record collection. It was a royal pain because I always insist on doing that myself, and there were other difficulties, but somehow I made it through. I survived, the record survived, everything's set up in a pretty decent way. So I'll just do a quick room tour video. I'm not going to spend a ton of time. I'll just kind of walk around and show you how it's all set up. And yeah, hopefully you think it's cool. I'm pretty happy with it. So why don't we get started, and I'll just do some handheld stuff and show you around. Okay, so as you come down the steps from downstairs, you come to the basement. I got one of my Beatle posters hung at the bottom of the steps, pretty cool, and you hang a left and you're in the room. So this is the new room. I'm liking it. I wasn't so sure about the brown wood paneling, and when I first saw this house and came down here, I said, oh, well, if this is going to be a music room, I'm probably going to want to paint that white or something. And I watched a whole lot of YouTube videos about painting wood paneling, and it looked doable, but then I thought, you know what, I asked some other people's opinion, and a lot of people said, leave it. I would leave it, give it a chance. Maybe you'll embrace that mid-century kind of vintage rec room sort of vibe. And I have to say, I kind of have. I'm glad I left it, at least for now. I can always change my mind later and paint it. But I don't know, there's something about it that feels real cozy down here. I don't know, I like it. But this is it. I got myself a new listening chair to sort of go with the mid-century decor vibe. My cool new orange chair, which I'm actually really liking. But yeah, this is the room. It's a pretty good size. We'll step into it a little more here and check it out. The far end of the room down there, that's going to be my home studio sort of end of the room. So we got, the old analog reel-to-reel tape recorder and everything. We'll take a closer look at everything, but this front end of the room where we're sort of standing now, this is for listening, obviously. So let's take a peek at this end. So this is the setup for the listening end of the room. And I gotta say, it's working out pretty well. I'm liking how it's sort of shaped up. I'm sitting much closer to my speakers than I think I ever have before, but it actually kind of works. I did my usual meticulous measurement and set everything up just so. And it's a little more near field than I'm used to, but I think it's working well. And actually, before I do this, I forgot to turn this light on. I got this cool new light. There we go. It's an LED light, runs on batteries to kind of light up the shelves that are over here. So this is where the stereo is set up. And I used to have, if you've seen my old room tour videos, I used to have a kind of homemade DIY flexi rack for all my equipment. And there was really no way to use that here, so I just decided to make use of this little shelving unit. There wasn't much I could put on the shelves themselves except my Dynaco ST70 tube amp is here. But for the rest of the shelves, it just kind of stored, some 45 boxes, some CD box sets, and some other things. But the stereo equipment, most of it is actually stacked here. And I have to say, it's stacking components. You can see a lot of discussion about this online. Some people say, oh, never do that. Other people are like, well, as long as it's not a power amp, this, that, the other thing, it's okay. I basically have my Parasound P5 preamp on top of my Acoustech Phono preamp on top of my Sony 5-disc CD SACD changer. And I'm not detecting any problems with this. There's no heat issues, nothing really needs to bleed heat. So it's not like heat's getting trapped anywhere and things are getting hot. And as far as space saving, it's working. So I'm at the moment pretty happy with that. It's not my ideal setup. I wouldn't have chosen to stack them. but I really didn't have much choice. And then, of course, the turntable is over here, my VPI Scout turntable set up next to it. And like I say, everything sounds good. I've been listening to some CDs, some records, and I'm really enjoying how everything's sounding. Very pleased with it. And the speakers are still my Sonus Recital 2 bookshelf speakers, which I love. I sort of wish at this point I had not gotten the cherry finish. They had a tobacco color finish that I think might have blended in a little better here, but that's okay. It's not the end of the world, and I didn't know I would be in a room like this, but this is basically where the stereo is. It's pretty cool. And like I say, my new listening chair, which is nice. It sort of blends in. And the orange is kind of, I have to show you this. I got, what do they call it? A starburst, sunburst clock. That style anyway. It's like multicolor, but it's got some of that orange in it, as does this slightly nutty 5-bulb lamp that seemed a little vintagey as well that I also got. So that's all part of embracing the mid-century rec room vibe too. I kind of like this corner actually. It's got my miniature 2x2 IKEA Kallax. I still don't know how to pronounce that. Shelving unit, which this one happens to have mostly CD box sets in it. On top of it, I've got my new Arrivals bin of LPs and another lamp. But yeah, so this is the listening end of the room. And as far as these other IKEA units, it's funny because I had two of these, two 2x4 units. And when I got here, these two closets had pre-existing shelving in them, but it was just a little too flimsy to hold a lot of records. So I got that out of there. I had to actually saw the shelves out of there. There was no other way to get them out. And when I did my measurements, I was very pleased to find that my IKEA units fit in there pretty much perfectly. And the doors do close if I want to close them, but I typically don't. I like to see the records. So I've got one over here and one over here. And it actually worked out really nicely. It just fit in there very, very easily. The measurements were nearly perfect. So that's it. That's the listening end of the room. Oh, one more thing over here is my record cleaning station, which I haven't used yet here, but it's got my VPI 16.5 record cleaning machine on there and a bunch of other record cleaning stuff as well. Up above that is my crawl space access, which I'm sure hardly ever need to open, but it's there. So yeah, coming over to the studio end of the room, we've got my old Tascam 388 8-track reel-to-reel tape recorder, which I've mostly given up using, I have to say, in favor of my relatively new Tascam 32-track digital recorder, which is a wonderful machine. I love using this thing. And my brother actually bought the same one. He's a drummer, and he lives many states away, but we get to collaborate very easily because we have the same machine, and we can just swap files back and forth, and he's playing drums on a lot of my stuff lately, and I'm playing keyboards on a lot of his stuff lately, so that's working out nicely. Got my monitors, some artwork on the walls, some Beatles and Beach Boys. And this is cool. I'm not using this currently, but it's kind of cool that it's here. I don't know, it's a neat feature. It's got a built-in wine rack. Well, I don't know if I ever want to put a little bar in this corner or something, that might work well. Right now I just have my old listening chair and footrest in the corner with another groovy vintagey lamp that I found. One thing I've lacked in my life over the last several years is a good place to read, like actual books, not Kindle books, but real books. And I thought, it'll be great to put this in the corner and have this be like a little reading corner if I ever want to settle down and bring a beverage down and just read. This might be a great opportunity to do that. So I'm liking that. I think that's going to work well. And just a little more artwork on the walls. I love this. If you've seen Don't Look Back, the Bob Dylan movie, you should recognize that quote. But I dig that. And then I got a kind of a permanent spot for my Vox AC-15 guitar amp, which is great. And the old Hammond M3 organ. So that's got its spot as well. And the Wurlitzer electric piano next to that. So yeah, this is the end of the room where I'll do recording. And the drum set is not set up in this room currently. I just didn't want it to take up the space, so actually I put it, there's a door over here you can probably barely see. There's another little room, it's not as finished, where I think I'm going to set the drums up. And that way I'll have a little sort of mini drum room or drum closet, if you will. And when I need the drums, they'll be there. I typically, like I say, my brother's playing a lot of drums for me lately, so I don't really anticipate using my drums that often. So I didn't want them to take up a lot of space in here. So they'll be sort of next door. And I've got one window, which is nice. Got it open at the moment. It's a nice day. And I don't know what this structure is or what it's for. It must be covering something. It's like a little, I don't know what. It's like a little platform. I just got some random things on here at the moment. My old Tascam, actually my dad's old Tascam cassette recorder, which I used to use to master my old recordings. I've sort of inherited that. And a few other things. I've got a few record covers hanging up over here. But yeah, I don't really know what this structure is for, what its purpose is, but I don't know. It's really not in my way. It's just above these keyboards and whatever. Over here we have another big closet, and that's where my big 5x5 IKEA record shelf is. Again, the measurements worked. It fit in there. It was interesting. Oh, and there's my dog, Sammy. Hey, Sammy. He's hanging out while I shoot this video. Getting this out of my old house, the 5x5 record shelf, was a challenge because I bought it when I was living in my last house, and I put it together in that sort of basement area. And then when the movers came to move me like 5 weeks ago, they said, hey, we can't get that out. There's no way, it won't fit through any of the doorways, like out of the house or up the steps, or they tried to get it out of my house every which way, and they could not. So they basically left it there, said, you want to take it, you're going to have to take it apart. And they left it to me. So I had to take it apart on moving day, an unexpected chore. I had to take this thing apart and bring it over myself piece by piece. And eventually I got up the courage to attempt to reassemble it. I did have to buy some replacement wooden pegs from Amazon, the ones that hold all the different pieces together, because several of them broke during my disassembly. But it all worked out in the end. I did get it back together out here in this space on the floor. I sat one afternoon and struggled through getting it back together, and then I was eventually able to slide it into this closet over here, which is actually worked out. It's a nice space for it. It's sort of out of the way. If I want it to be, I can close these doors, and you know, it's actually nice. And my guitars are all in there too, actually, in the corner. Kind of stuffed all together. I'm sort of hoping to discover or figure out a better way to store my guitars down here, but for the moment, that's what I've done with them. Another cool thing in this closet too is there's some more storage. There's various shelves here where I've got some 45 boxes, my old Marantz receiver, which I still hang on to, my old Tascam 4-track cassette recorder in the box there, which I also still hang on to, the Porta 5 Porta Studio, and just some random other things. So that's cool that that's there, but this space is, I was really glad this was here because I really didn't know where else I was going to put the 5x5 record shelf. So it's kind of cool. And then there's one last little area under the stairs. There's this little storage area. I don't have much in there now except for a few boxes and some, just random stuff I didn't know what else to do with. I'll probably try to go through that stuff again and reorganize a little bit, but for now that's a good storage area for random stuff. So yeah, that's the room. Like I say, I'm enjoying it. The chances I have had to sit and listen, I've really enjoyed the sound, and the setup works for me. I don't know. It's like I said, I wasn't exactly thrilled about stacking the components, but I'm not really finding any issues with that at all, at least not so far. And yeah, really liking it. So hope you enjoyed the room tour. It's I'm sure I'm going to keep refining things and moving. I might move things around just a little. I don't know. This is sort of my first shot at setting everything up, but so far I gotta say it's working. So there you have it, folks. That's the new room. I'm liking it. So far so good. The sound as far as the stereo setup is pretty good. I'm actually enjoying it quite a bit, and I haven't really recorded much yet as far as the studio end of the room. Just one or two little tracks here for some recordings my brother's been doing. But hopefully pretty soon I'll be starting a brand new recording of my own in the studio here, and and we'll see how that works out. But I'm happy with it. I like it, and I'm glad the move is over. I hope I don't have to do that again anytime soon. The move and the resetting up of everything. It was exhausting, and maybe I'm getting a little too old for these sorts of things. But anyway, all's well that ends well. The room is cool. I'm liking it. Curious to know what your impressions are. As always, leave a comment. Always very grateful to everyone who watches, comments, subscribes, and all the rest. So I'll see you on the next video, and take care, everybody. Hope you're all doing well, and I will see you. Take care.